Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I would like to start out by reminding everyone that this meeting will be live streamed. As per policy number 7, regular and special meetings of the board may be streamed live, archived, and accessed online. The board reserves at its sole discretion via motion at any meeting the right to not stream live or archive a meeting or a portion of a meeting. Further, the board reserves the right to edit any recorded portion of a meeting. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Langley Board of Education at 7:00 p.m. and start out by first acknowledging that the Langley School District is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsqui, Kwantlen, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. We gather here tonight in an understanding of the importance of Yaayistol, Skekiyais working together, Natsamat, Letsamat, uniting ourselves with one mind, one heart, to ensure that we support and inspire all learners to reach their full potential. I'd like to start out by welcoming everyone here this evening. We have our full board of trustees present this evening, starting on my far right, Trustee Ward, and then Trustee Dickinson, Trustee Wilson, Superintendent Gill, myself, Chair Ashdown, Secretary Treasurer Isley, Trustee Rye, Trustee Fox, and Trustee Neufeld. Also with us this evening, we have Deputy Superintendent Woody Bradford, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Langeberry, Assistant Superintendent Marcello Moino, Director of Communications Joanne Abshire, Executive Assistant Judy Swanson, Technical Support Specialist 3 Paul Baboa, Technical Support Specialist 3 Vincent Montefrio, and Verinder Break, I'm sorry, Rach, Principal, Aldergrove Secondary Community School, Ashley Ross, Teacher, Aldergrove Community Secondary School, Emily Polistretti, Teacher, Aldergrove Community Secondary School, Riley Lancaster, Student, Aldergrove Community Secondary School, and Sartaj Shokar, Student, Aldergrove Community Secondary School. I hope I pronounced your names right. I apologize if I didn't. And there's 3 students, and I only have 2 on my list, so my apologies. Oh, okay, welcome. Awesome. Happy birthday. Okay. Should we sing happy birthday? Happy birthday to welcome. I hope we didn't embarrass you too much. That was fun though. Okay. And also we have with us Elva Morrison, QP 1851 Vice President, Tisha Kraft, Deepak VP2. And who else am I missing here? Oh, next list there. Sorry, I knew I was missing some. Paul Trattle, LP VPA President, and Nancy Peterson, LTA Vice President. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to now hand over the mic to Vice Chair Wilson to do the in-camera report.
Tonight in camera, we discuss property.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. Trustees, you have before you the consent agenda. Could I please have a motion that the Board of Education adopts the consent agenda items as provided? Moved by Trustee Neufeld, seconded by Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, could I please have a mover that the agenda be approved as presented? Moved by Trustee Dickinson. Do I have a seconder? Trustee Rye. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Moving along, we have Superintendent reports, 6.1 Communications Plan 2023-2026 update, and I will pass this over to you, Superintendent.
Thank you, Chair Ashdown. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce our new Director of Communications. So congratulations to Jo Abshire on her promotion. This evening, Jo will be here to present year 2 of her 3-year communications plan for the district. We are so impressed with the work that Jo does in supporting the work that we do as a leadership team in getting the message out that that Langley School District is an amazing district, and she does an amazing job with that. And as well, comes along side by side during times of need, not just at the district level, but also at the school level. So I'll pass it off to Jo.
Thank you. Just going to wait for the PowerPoint to come up. Thank you so much, Superintendent Gill. I will say that the communications department, half of our team is missing. Nick Greeneisen, who's our communications specialist, he's unable to be here this evening, but I do want to acknowledge that he is a pivotal part of our team. I will also say that although there's 2 staff members in the communication department, we collaborate with all departments and schools and administrators, and they're also an extension of the communications team as well. So as you see in your package before the meeting, there's the communications plan year 2 update. What I'm holding is the original communications plan, which was developed last year. And this is developed in alignment with the strategic plan. It follows the same cycle and timeline, and annually we update the plan. So I'm just going to touch on some highlights of the year 2 update. What you can see here, the plan is made up of different pillars, much like the strat plan is as well. And I won't go through all of them right now because I'm going to go through them after each slide. But as we grow as a district and we fine tune our priorities and our strategies, we also review all the different objectives and strategies and the pillars. And then the last school year, we did add promoting truth and reconciliation, as well as promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. So just overview of how can we do better. Definitely enhancing communications with internal and external audiences. That means our staff, and that also includes our families, as well as building the capacity of our staff and our families when it comes to communications, and definitely promoting all the good work that we do in the district, all the different actions when it comes to truth and reconciliation, equity, diversity, inclusion, and something that we've been doing for years, but we want to be more intentional about it moving forward, really getting into taking all the actions in our strategic plan, as well as our framework for enhancing student learning, our FESL, which is basically the education blueprint for the district, really getting into taking those actions and communicating that to families in a way that they can understand and celebrate. So one of the pillars is celebrating our story. That's basically talking about all the positive things that happen in our district. I think Langley does a great job at that, even at the school level. Definitely things that we've achieved. We continue to increase our content and social media growth. I'll touch on a slide right after this that points to all the analytics. Definitely things that we want to improve on. The use of the platform LinkedIn for 2 reasons. One, just as a way to raise awareness of who we are as a growing organization, but as well as just using it as a recruitment tool and a retention tool. It's just one of those tools that professionals use to, connect. And lastly, again, as I said before, just be really intentional about all the different stories we share and how we want to ensure that they're in line with our strat plan and the FESL. Just pointing to the image there, that was our top photo post of the school year on Facebook, and it's the Brookswood Secondary School senior girls basketball team that won provincials last year, and that photo alone just garnered 500 loves when we posted it. So again, we do want to share our positive stories. One of our top videos of the year, because we do like to do social media videos, was our LSS grad walk, which for those that don't know, the grad walks are a popular tradition in Langley that we're very proud of. And it basically is where the grads go to their old elementary schools. They do it to reminisce, but they also do it to inspire all the little learners and hoping that they can transition and graduate as well. A quick look at social media. We have consistently seen growth year after year. You can see all the numbers there. Definitely Instagram is one of our bigger platforms that's growing. And we will continue to do all the work we do to increase that. Of course, we have more families that join us, so we would expect to see growth, but definitely we try to put in the effort to see that growth as well. The second pillar, enhancing our brand, is basically enhancing the image and the public opinion and basically protecting our reputation out there. And one of the measurements is through, what we see in the media. What do people say about us? And we're definitely, in the last school year, we saw an increase in stories in traditional media and mentions as well. About 70% of them were positive, some very few negative, and the rest were neutral. And I guess why that matters, with any organization, you will always have, there's always bad news that can't be controlled. But at the same time, the best practice is to ensure you have 9 positive news stories for every 1 negative news story. And I think that that's something that we do really well in Langley, to try to share the positive and have that, build that trust with our families, so that when we do have a negative story, um, it's not so prevalent. Things we need to work on: basically reviewing and educating staff on our branding guidelines, like how we use our logo, and just in general improving staff communications. We continue to promote health and safety and wellness in our schools. And what I mean by that is basically delivering fast and effective communications in times of crisis or emergencies. We also want to continue just promoting health and wellness. Uh, Something that we worked really hard on last year is just reducing response times when emergencies happen. So, for example, a lockdown, if we don't have a lot of information right away, it's important to just get um, just the fact that there is a lockdown and that police are on site, as minimal details as possible that are factual, to ensure that people are in the know. So that's something that we're continuing to work on. A few weeks ago, we also had those power outages, and we saw lots of different communications that were sent home to families at various schools. Uh, and especially when it comes to these situations, having instructions and information sent out right away is key to, again, maintaining that relationship and trust with families. Things we need to continue to work on: as a growing district, new families come up. We want to make sure that they're in the know with what's happening in emergency procedures and communications, as well as, again, in alignment with our strat plan and the FESL, is just to continue promoting the health and wellness information that comes to us. Strengthening our relationships is something that we want to continue to do in relation to, maintaining these relationships with our community partners, our families, our staff. One thing that was new last year was the establishment of our staff and community newsletter. This year, we're going to have, it's going to continue. Our next one's coming up, so watch out for that in your inboxes. It's really just about, again, finding ways to connect with all of our audiences. And another example of that is just the work that we do with consultations. Last school year, we had a consultation catchment boundary process at the LSS family of schools. Even now, we're continuing that similar process in the Willoughby Slope. So that's just an example of the work that we do in maintaining relationships. Moving forward, we'll be continuing to, again, find ways and strategies to connect with staff, and ensure that they have that sense of belonging. Building our capacity is really just making sure that staff have the adequate training, they're supported, they have all the pieces they need to do the work of communications in their role, or an extension of my role in communications. Some of the things that the communications department does is train all of the administrators and new staff on websites, how to use websites. And another thing when it comes to like external audiences and families is really training parents on how to do certain things. So last year, one of the big, when it comes to change management, one of the big changes was online registration for elementary schools, which was a very new process. With any new process, you're going to have new ways of doing things. And so in that particular change, that required a lot of work and support from communications. So as we continue to grow, we're going to always have different systems reviewed and system changes, and that's where the communications comes in to implement those plans. And in progress, we'll continue to develop strategies and ways to, again, have administrators and departmental staff basically have the tools they need to communicate in their daily roles. Promoting truth and reconciliation is basically increasing our awareness of what the district is doing in relation to our commitment to truth and reconciliation. Just evidence of that, most of our social media posts that were popular last year actually had to do with the district's commitment to truth and reconciliation. Two stories come to mind: our Aboriginal Achievement Awards, which is my favorite event of the year, is definitely a story that year after year is one of the most popular stories. As well as last school year, there was the unveiling of a new logo that was designed by a Kwantlen artist for the Gordon Greenwood community. Again, that was one of the stories that was one of our most popular on social media. So definitely there is an appreciation for the work that we do, and definitely that's something that we're going to continue to do moving forward. When it comes to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, again, very similar to what we had just seen in the last slide, it's an awareness of all the things that the district's doing in regards to our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. When it comes to all the different stories and the things that we celebrate, events, initiatives, Diversity and Respect Week is a very popular week where we see a lot of popular stories pop up and things that people really gravitate towards. So that's something that we're going to be continuing to do as well moving forward. Just based on the photo that you see there, that was from our Deaf and Hard of Hearing program that offered a coding workshop for students. And this particular workshop was important for a lot of ways. And really, at the end of the day, it's celebrating learning, but it's also celebrating students who have that sense of belonging within their own community. Before I jump into questions, I just wanted to close on, I know I gave you bits and pieces of the highlights, and I do talk, why I could talk forever about about all the positive stories that we share in our district. I will say that it's probably the favorite part of my job. I know that as Superintendent Mel Gill acknowledged, like, communications can be a very challenging and heavy a heavy department to deal with when we're dealing with emergencies and crises. But at the same time, I will say that I'm so fortunate to be part of a district that actually values and puts a lot of effort and support behind celebrating our story, because I think it's one of the things that I love, and it's my passion. And if I could be in a school every day just to capture those stories, I'd be a happy camper. So that's all for that, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, whether they're broad or detailed in scope.
Thank you so much. Trustees, do you have any questions or comments? Trustee Fox.
I don't, I don't have a question. I just have a commendation for you and your committee, your staff for the job you do. Recently we had power outages in a variety of schools. The message was out there. It was on Facebook, a variety of different communication tools. And I know that power outages and things like that are difficult for staff, but it's important that parents, sorry, I know that it's important to get that out so parents do get the message as soon as possible so they can make plans. So I just appreciate the effectiveness and the speed with which your message gets out in times when it's important for parent planning. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, no other trustees? Okay, so seeing no other comments, or I just too wanted to thank you so much for all of your hard work, and congratulations on your new position. And we are very fortunate to have you in this district, and it's a privilege to work with you. And you and your team do a great job. So thank you so much. All right, trustees, could I please have mover that the Board of Education receives the update on the communications plan 2023 to 2026 for information as presented. Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Vice Chair Wilson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, next on our agenda is 6.2, student leadership. Back over to you, Superintendent Gill.
Thanks, Chair. Again, just another fantastic item. Over the weekend of October, I think 25th to the 27th, we had a number of students from our district travel to Abbotsford and participate in the Student Leadership Conference. And was delighted to see that one of our schools is going to be here this evening and reading through many of the letters that they sent to us, just as a thank you to the district for supporting them. Was heartwarming, and thought it would be really important for us to ensure that the voice of students is heard during our regular meetings. And this evening, it's important to hear those voices. And so I'm going to ask the Aldergrove team to come up and share their story with us this evening.
Good evening. We feel very privileged to be able to share our experience with you this evening. I have some student representatives who are going to share their story, but I just wanted to emphasize how supported we felt that the district was willing to send so many students from Langley. I know that in our community, it would have been difficult to have a team of 12 students attend for the full 4 days without that sort of really generous support. So I did have a PowerPoint just with our names as a reminder. But as the intro, I was going to sort of clarify what leadership looks like at Aldergrove, because as a small school, we're a little bit smaller. Sweet, perfect. And so again, I'm Ashley Ross. We have Riley Lancaster, Sartaj Shokar, and Emily Polistretti to talk about just the structure, their personal experiences, and then hopefully some aspirations that we have for the leadership program at ACSS. I think what is really unique about our school is that the leadership programs are very diffused. And so we have a lot of different teachers who are supporting very, very different approaches. And I just want to recognize that although Ms. Polistretti and I are involved in leadership, we're not by any means like the image or the voice of the only people doing it. So we have a lot of different groups that are doing leadership in our school. And so when it came to finding students to participate, we ended up sort of picking a few representatives from each of the different groups. And what that led us to was a very diverse group that didn't know each other very well. So on the first day, they were very nervous. They were very sort of connected. They were very close together and very quiet, reserved, a little bit nervous. But what was so joyful for us to witness was how quickly they integrated with their experiences. And we had such a wonderful time meeting with other advisors about leadership in and around the province. I think there were 35 schools, different schools represented there. And so it's just a really, really great opportunity. And then by the end of it, we had a group that was very connected with long-term goals and ways in which they were going to bring it back to the school. So I'm sure you don't want to hear any more from me. So I'm going to pass it over to Riley, and you can hear from them directly their experiences.
So hello, everybody. My name is Riley, and I had the privilege to attend the BC Leadership Conference. It was amazing. Allison Springer held a keynote that gave me so much more confidence in myself and all my peers. Something that really stood out to me was a session I took. It was one size fits all leadership held by the leadership at Bateman. And in short, it went over ways to make your school a more fun and entertaining experience for everybody. It was an amazing experience. And sorry, had to crack my fingers. Yeah, so it went over ways to make a better experience for your school. I realized that ACSS has a very high exchange ratio. And so I really took out ways that I can make a better time for all of them. And it was very good. Messed up.
That's all right. You're good.
Yeah, this is bad.
Do you want a reminder?
No.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, so this conference really changed my views on like leadership as a whole. I realized that we don't have to have pep rallies and spirit days to show school spirit. Personally, I really like volleyball. I've always been into it my whole life. And if it was up to me, I'd host intramurals for the whole year. But I've realized from this session that we're supposed to host other schools or other sports, like softball tournaments or spike ball tournaments, just some more diversity for the community. But overall, I really just wanted to thank you all for giving me and my peers this awesome opportunity because I've learned so much.
Thanks.
Hello, my name's Sartaj, and before I start, I wanted to ask a question. With a show of hands, how many of you guys have made an embarrassing mistake today? I know I have. And when you guys made that mistake, did you let it ruin your day, or did you just shrug it off and keep going? For the longest time, I used to let it ruin my day, maybe even my week. But sooner or later, I realized that maybe the second option might be better. And I realized that at the BC Schools Leadership Conference, where we had a keynote speaker named Scott Hamill, and he said, failure only hurts as much as you let it. That really resonated with me because for the longest time, I was terrified of failing. I was so scared that half the time I didn't even try. I would want to do activities so badly, but I was so worried about what might have happened that I didn't even do it. And it sucked. But after the conference, I realized that why not try? When I weighed the pros and cons, I realized that what might go wrong when I say hi to someone and they don't say hi back isn't as bad as what might happen if I say hi, they say hi, we have a conversation, I might get to know them more, and we might both leave feeling energized and have a better day. Or I might try a new activity and maybe I might suck at it, maybe I might embarrass myself, but I could find out how much I like that activity and I might keep doing it throughout the whole year. And I really want to project that to those around me. I want them to be less afraid of messing up and more happy and more excited about what might happen if they do the activity they do. And I really hope that everyone else around me is less afraid of failure because the worst thing about not trying is that you'll never know what would have happened if you really did try. Thank you for letting us go to the leadership conference.
So my name is Emily Polistretti, and as we've shared, we've come back from the conference inspired to enhance not only leadership at our school, but within the district. So we have some short-term and long-term goals we're hoping to achieve. In the short term, we aim to meet monthly. As you've heard, we're from various groups. So this space will allow us to strategize, to collaborate on ways we would like to take actions moving forward. And hopefully these actions look like school events that are put on by our various leadership groups. Long term, we hope to have as our numbers grow in enrollment, a student leadership class within the timetable. This allows all the groups to meet together more regularly so that we can enhance the already great things that we put on in our school by our various groups. And then another long-term goal is we hope to work with the district to bring back Table 35 and support the district in doing that, as well as hosting regional meetings. Our region is between ourselves, Vanguard, and DW Poppy, and these would be monthly meetings as well, or every other month moving forward is our goals. And we would just like to say on behalf of all of us at our school, as well as the other schools that got to go, we're very grateful that the district supported our group and the other groups for attending this experience. And it has really enhanced and inspired us to do really great things moving forward. So thank you so much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I have a couple of things to say too, but I'll leave it till the end. And I'm moving over to Vice Chair Wilson and then Trustee Dickinson next.
Great. Thank you guys for your presentation. What great speakers, all of you. I'm serious, all of you. No, I just want to say that Table 35 was an amazing thing when my earlier days in the district, and it's certainly been missed. And I want to give credit to Lanny Yun, who was in charge of it back then. And I just think that rebuilding this or starting this again and seeing your passion for this, like, cause it really is driven by, you know, the people behind it. And so to see that you guys are so excited for it makes me feel really excited. And so thank you. And thank you guys for your speaking. It was great. And don't, public speaking is awesome and you did great at it. So thank you for coming here tonight and doing that for us.
Trustee Dickinson.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for coming in the evening to talk to us tonight. I'm listening to you two speak and like could not stop grinning because I remember doing that at Brookswood and getting to go to a conference over at SFU and it was like the coolest thing. So like just be vibing off your energy. I was just like, yeah. And to you two that are providing those opportunities. I wouldn't be here where I'm sitting right now without having some of the teachers like yourselves that made those possible, like made that possible and took time out of your day and did the volunteering behind it. So sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And the whole team that's helping make these opportunities happen for these kids is just love it.
Trustee Fox.
Well, I'm not gonna let you get off that easy.
Far
You-
away, Charlie. I got
You
you.
two away. You move aside. I want to talk to those two. So, excellent. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You know, I must preface my remarks by saying that Oligo Secondaries had a long line of excellent leadership at the principal level, which I'm sure was a model for you tonight.
I'm sure it
Thanks
has.
for breaking the bubble. So,
Historical context.
Ashley and I go back and forth here. So this was 4 days
Yeah.
and all hosted at Robert Bateman
Yeah.
at Yale.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, how many schools from around BC were there?
I think there were 35.
There was a lot. There were schools from like Kelowna, schools from Alberta,
I was gonna
Not
ask you,
sorry, like everywhere.
where you engaged with students from, can you give me like Kelowna or any other sort of schools that stuck in your mind?
I met a lot of people from Merritt. That was a really good experience. I like the people from Merritt.
Okay,
And I met one from Kelowna. I don't exactly remember what school he was, but he was very cool.
well, yeah.
I met a lot of people from Walnut Grove, so
So you met some local.
I just clicked with them.
Langley Cross.
Well, that's good because I mean, the point of asking the question is it wasn't just local. You got the opportunity to dialogue with students from a place like Merritt, which has one secondary school. It's a rural area. It's got completely different issues and they deal with different circumstances than you do, say in a Metro Vancouver school like that. So that's really good. And were you with them for 4 days?
Yeah, both Miss Paulstrady and I were there for the long haul.
Oh, okay. And the school survived without you too?
Well, it was over the Pro D weekend, so it was basically Thursday evening, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then Sunday morning.
Okay, and I'm sure the principal gave you days off in lieu.
No, but that
It's only a suggestion. Former principals would have done that and just out of kindness. So how many Langley schools were there?
I believe there were 7 of the 9 high schools were able, like 7 of the 9 Langley high schools were able to send people there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a good nucleus. And going back to Vice Chair Wilson's comments about Table 35, I mean, COVID killed Table 35, but it is one of those elements of student leadership, I think, that really, it's nice to hear that there's a potential that it's coming back and being active, because the interaction between the leadership students in all 9 schools would be really advantageous. So, and I know when we do future strat plans, if we, were to engage those students at some point in some of the aspects, it would be very helpful too. Thank you very much, and good luck, students.
Thank you.
I'll see some of you maybe Tuesday morning because I'm there.
Excited.
And
to
you can
see
ask me the questions.
All right.
Do any other trustees have any comments or questions? No? Okay, well, just to finish up, but again, just wanted to thank you for being here and coming and sharing with us this evening. And it's always inspiring to hear what's going on in our schools. And it's always a highlight for myself, and I'm sure all the trustees here, that when we have students join us, because that's why we're here. And so I just really want to, send my thank you, especially to you two, Riley and Sertaj, for being here. And Riley, when you lost your train of thought there for a sec, you stopped and you kept going. And so, good for you, because you did amazing. And yeah, did you want to
I'll come
say-
back and redeem myself.
No, you did really well. And honestly, I'm chair on the board, and I still, if I stand up, especially up at a podium and speak, I still get nervous. So believe me, those nerves never really fully go away. I don't think, anyways, at least not for me. So for Charlie, apparently, maybe, but no, you did awesome, and just really want to commend you too, because it's hard to get up and speak, especially to a board sitting here. And I can remember as a parent coming and speaking to the board, and it's a bit nerve-wracking, especially as a student. So yeah, good job, you guys. And thank you for coming in an evening and sharing with us, when I'm sure you have other fun stuff that you might be rather doing. No? Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Yeah, and happy birthday again. I'm so glad that we could celebrate a little with you. Okay, all right, trustees, can I please have a mover for the motion that the Board of Education receives the report on student leadership for information as presented? Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, moving along to a Secretary Treasurer's report, 7.1 Smith Campus Right-of-Way Bylaw. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. In your package tonight is information on a statutory right-of-way bylaw that is being requested by the Township of Langley in order for them to do some road work on 76th Avenue, which is on our Smith campus, where we are working on our middle and secondary school. These are areas that would be required as a road dedication normally when we get to the building permit stage, but the township's trying to do the work in January, so doing the right of way now so that they can proceed with that work. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions on the item, the information in your package? And nope. Okay. So can I please have a mover then that the Board of Education school, so we have four motions here, so bear with me, please. But could I first have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, Smith Public Access and Utilities Right-of-Way Bylaw 2024 be given first reading? Moved by trustee Neufeld, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, next motion. Could I please have a mover for the recommended motion that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, Smith Public Access and Utilities Right-of-Way Bylaw 2024 be given second reading? Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. We have another motion recommended that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley unanimously approves having all three readings of Smith Public Access and Utilities Right-of-Way Bylaw 2024 at tonight's meeting. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Vice Chair Wilson, seconded by trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. And last motion with this item, could I please have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, Smith Public Access and Utilities Right-of-Way Bylaw 2024 be given third reading, passed and adopted on the 19th day of November 2024. Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is number 8, Policy Committee. We have a policy, we have coming forward for a notice of motion. So I'm going to take this one and discuss it with the board here. So at the October 8th, 2024 policy committee meeting, policy 3, role of the trustee, and policy 3 appendix, services, materials, and equipment, that's what the name of the policy is, was provided to trustees, and they were both reviewed. Revisions to appendix A were requested by the policy committee. Those edits were made, and the following motion was passed, and this isn't a motion coming here, this is just, the motion was passed, that the policy committee from staff to make the recommended changes to policy 3, appendix services, materials, and equipment provided to trustees, and then bring back changes to the next policy committee meeting. Those changes were brought back to the policy committee meeting, and then at the November 5th policy committee meeting, the following motion was passed, that the policy committee recommends that the Board of Education serves notice of motion to the district's education community and its education partners that it intends to adopt the revisions to policy 3, appendix A, services, materials, and equipment provided to trustees. And trustees, you'll see in your package that really all that was changed on this was for the services or the equipment provided to trustees, rather than an iPad, it's been changed to a Windows laptop. And the reason being for that is because our eScribe program works much better on the Windows platform. So we have that change. So iPad is crossed, Windows laptop added, and then it just, the next line just says both items are to be returned at completion of term, or if the trustee resigns before the end of the term. So pretty straightforward one here. Could I please have a mover that the Board of Education serves a notice of motion to the district's education community and its education partners that it intends to adopt the revisions to policy 3, appendix A, services, material, and equipment provided to trustees. Moved by trustee Neufeld, seconded by trustee Dickinson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Vice Chair Wilson.
Feel like it just wouldn't be a policy if I didn't comment on it. So yeah, I'm not in favor of singling out Windows. I just think that we just moved from calling it an Apple product, which is the iPad, to now saying a Windows laptop, where we could just say laptop. And then if something was to change in a different platform 3 years from now is easier for us to do meetings on, we wouldn't have to revise the policy again. So I would be in favor of just amending the motion to laptop, removing the words Windows. Do I have a seconder?
So would you like to make an amendment
Yes,
to
I
the
would like to
motion then,
make
Vice Chair Wilson, to remove the word Windows?
Yes, I would.
Do I have a seconder to that amendment? Kate, moved by trustee Dickinson. And would you like to speak to that again, or should I?
have said it.
Okay, is there any other discussion on that amendment? I'd actually like to maybe pass over to Secretary Treasurer Isley just to see if, because I know you worked on this and with staff and IT, just to see if there would be any issues with that.
In discussions with our IT director, it was felt to specify a Windows device, otherwise it could be interpreted a Mac, and then supporting various platforms for various trustees. And his approach was, or his thought was, that it is most stable on the PC environment.
Trustee Ward.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate Trustee Wilson's comments. I can assure you I offered the same sort of thing. But I support staff's perspective. I don't like the idea of supporting one particular proprietary set of anything in policy. But I guess in the IT world, there's these two options. It's one or the other, and one supports better. So I hesitantly support this.
Any other discussion on the amendment? So we're just voting on the amendment at this time. Okay, all right. So could I please have a show of hands for those in favor of the amendment to remove the word windows? Okay, so we have three, four. So trustee Newfeld, Rye, Wilson, and Dickinson. Okay, and opposed? Okay, so now we have a motion before us as amended. What's that? No, it's been, yeah, it was voted in favor to remove the word windows. Okay, so now we have the motion on the table that actually the motion doesn't really change, and we're just changing. Did we do that? Just 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so we don't actually have to change the motion on the table. We've just removed that from the policy 3 appendix. So, okay, so we did have a mover and a seconder. So any discussion on the motion then before you, trustees? This is for the amended. We didn't technically amend the motion. We amended the appendix policy. Appendix A. We removed the word windows. Yeah. Well, then we're changing the policy, or we're changing the motion though, but sorry. I'm gonna put the mic over to you, Vice Chair Wilson. You had something you wanted to add?
I just think because if people had this package and the minutes are gonna go out, it's not the same as what came out. So maybe we could just say in the motion that we're adopting the revised revisions to policy 3, because we've just revised the revision that you guys came up with in the policy meeting. Or we've amended the amended revision.
So you're making a motion to amend the motion, correct? You're making an amendment. Yeah, no, this is a different amendment though. Yeah, this is to add the word, to adopt the amended revisions to policy 3. So you're making a motion to have a seconder to amend the motion on the table to say the amended revisions. So it would say that the Board of Education serves notice of motion to the district's education community and its education partner groups that it intends to adopt the amended revisions to policy 3. I'm not sure that's necessary, but I'm actually gonna go over to Secretary Treasurer Isley for a second here for his wisdom.
So there is a motion that was approved to amend the recommended policy, so that will be reflected in the minutes if there's worried about that. So the motion to take out to notice of motion will have the correct the policy with it when it goes out. So that's what will be out for the notice of motion.
I'm feeling the same way too, that we don't really need to make that because we've already changed appendix A. So are you comfortable with that though, or you still want to put, okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. So trustees, we have a motion on the table then that the Board of Education, I'll read it again, serves notice of motion to the district's education community and its education partner groups that it intends to adopt the revisions to policy 3, appendix A, services, materials, and equipment provided to trustees. And any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, and we had no new business this evening. So we will move along to trustee comments. I'll start on my right and just go along if anybody, trustee Ward or Dickinson. Yeah, trustee Ward, okay.
Just want to thank everybody out there for watching the riveting discussion we had in the past moving meeting, but in all seriousness, we had a great presentation. It's just nice to see was a great presentation. That's all. Thank you.
Nope. Okay, the other end, trustee Newfeld or Fox or Rye? Trustee Fox.
I'm trying this again. I'm gonna try this again, Chair Ashdown. I had the pleasure, honor, whatever, as a BCPC representative to attend a 2-day session in Vancouver with our human resources team. And they thoroughly enjoyed having my company. In fact, they thought that I should be employed in human resources by the end of it. But Secretary Isley brought them back to reality and said, no, that's not possible. Anyway, it was an excellent session on artificial intelligence. Okay, that brought everybody to a rise, a boil. Anyway, it was a session by Rebecca Bultsma out of Alberta. And this is the second session I've seen on artificial intelligence. And it was amazing the danger, the implications of how it will affect our educational system, to see what lies ahead in so many aspects of our system. Positive, she definitely dwelled on all the positive things that it does bring to the forefront, but also some of the dangers. So again, having had that opportunity, I was just I just can't believe what the capability is, the capacity of it is. And I think it's a great opportunity, but it can be very misused if not used properly. So anyway, it was a very good session, and I enjoyed the opportunity to be with our team and listening to the speakers and so on. So thank you.
Thank you, trustee Fox. Any other trustees have any comments? No? Okay. So we're moving along now to question period. Bear with me, please, as I read this. Question period is provided at board meetings. The purpose is to ensure that those present in the audience have an opportunity to obtain clarification concerning business conducted during that meeting. Priority will be given to responding to one question per person before considering further questions from any individual. The following will help the public develop questions for question period at a board meeting that is keeping with the goal of a respectful and focused meeting. Questions need to be directed to the chair and not to staff, need to be related directly to the topic on the agenda, need to be succinct, focused, and not be a statement, may not be asked that are related to personnel or directed at an individual trustee, may not be asked that are related to contract negotiations, and the questioner shall provide their name so that it's reflected in the minutes. All of the above are directions provided for in board policy number 7, board operations. The chair may answer, may defer to staff, or indicate a question may not be in keeping with the above guidelines. The board appreciates the public's interest and wants to ensure a professional meeting is conducted with question period focused on providing guests with the clarification they seek. Trustees also welcome questions from members of the public apart from question period. Our contact information is available on the school district website. Are there any questions? No question. Okay, we're having a really quick meeting tonight, so we get to go home before maybe the storm that sounds like we're maybe going to be getting. Yeah, that clock is wrong, but it's almost 5 to 8. So could I please have a motion that the meeting be adjourned at 7:53 p.m. Trustee Ward and seconded by Trustee Dickinson. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a good night.